Women are not consistent, and in other shocking news, water is wet. Okay, women are not consistent. It's a huge generalization. It's a bit of a stereotype, and it's probably not exactly a revelation. But women's inconsistency, that is a topic that actually has a lot of nuance to it, and a lot of guys don't understand this, and so it's worth dedicating some time to actually explore that inconsistency. You actually hear stories of couples having fights, having arguments, even breaking up because the man feels like his partner is being untrustworthy. She's being inconsistent when actually she's just being a woman. His girlfriend comes home and she's complaining about the way that her boss is treating her. She says that she hates her job. She seems really unhappy, but the man is confused because just last week she was saying how much she loves her job and how she enjoys going to work. Or maybe he overhears his wife talking to her mother on the phone, thanking her for babysitting because she's so sick of the children. She's so glad to have a break. And he thinks, well, that's not consistent. She was just saying the other day how much she loves her children, how much she loves being a mother. Are we witnessing inconsistency, or are we witnessing women just being women? It is difficult to understate just how differently men and women think. They begin conversations and they speak to other human beings with completely different purposes in mind. When a man speaks to another person in conversation, often his purpose is just to convey information to that person as efficiently as possible. But women aren't like that. When women speak, it's just an open-ended exploration of their thoughts, their values, their emotions. It could go in any number of directions. It's an open exploration, and that's absolutely fine. But these different purposes often create a lot of confusion and arguments because men and women are not understanding each other. The man is listening to the woman's open-ended exploration where she's sharing all her thoughts and feelings, and he gets stressed every time he hears her contradict herself. The man says to his girlfriend, 3 days ago, you said that you love Janine because she's so brave at sharing what she thinks, she's so open with her thoughts. You really admire that. But now suddenly you're upset because she was honest about how she feels about you. That's a contradiction. In the man's mind, he's like, gotcha. I've caught your inconsistency. You were either lying before or you're lying now. You can't have it both ways. There's the man thinking that he's really clever, like he's some amazing detective and he's just solved some difficult crime, like he's called somebody's bluff. But his girlfriend is looking at him like he's a complete moron. He's reached the absolute heights of emotional cluelessness and social ineptitude. Arguments like this are somewhat inevitable just because men and women are so different. But hopefully what I'm going to do in this video is explain what's actually going on in a woman's mind, how her psyche operates, and how you should interpret the seeming inconsistencies that you spot in a woman so that you can navigate those situations more intelligently. Now, the difficulty for men is that we are actually hardwired to specifically search for inconsistencies. That is an important design feature of our biology and our psychology. As the masculine ones, it is our job to provide and to protect. And in order to do that job correctly, and efficiently, we need to always be on the lookout for frauds and charlatans. If a man wants to make a business deal that he hopes is going to benefit him and his family, then he needs to be a little bit suspicious about the person that he's going to be doing this business deal with. If this other guy keeps contradicting himself in what he says, or his current words don't match his past behavior, then he can cancel the deal and protect himself. Men are good at this. This is one of our strengths. Our sort of logical black and white way of thinking helps us spot things that don't add up. It's why we have that stereotype of men typically being good at the maths and the sciences, because if you spot a line of code that doesn't match, then you can cancel it. Or if you're balancing some kind of equation because you're an engineer and you can see that the answer is incorrect, you can spot where the problem was and you can go back and fix the maths. Men are strong at that. We as men have minds that are designed to spot inconsistencies. And I know from a woman's perspective, it can seem as though men are overly rigid in our thinking and that can sometimes be a liability, but they need to understand that serves a really important purpose. Evolution positively selected for that trait because it was useful for survival. In the modern age, men use this skill and apply it to dating and relationships. When they're vetting a woman as a potential romantic partner, they're looking for inconsistencies because they don't want to be taken advantage of. They don't want to be manipulated. They don't want to be taken in by a woman who says one thing and does another, or a woman who's fundamentally dishonest about who she is and what she's done in the past. Men are rightfully scared of being taken advantage of being made a fool. And so when a man hears a woman express thoughts that contradict each other, it's like a big red flag, and we panic. Oh dear, maybe this woman isn't trustworthy. Now, to a certain degree, that is absolutely justified. I think it is useful to always remain vigilant about a woman's trustworthiness, and you should be on the lookout for inconsistencies to a certain degree. But what you need to understand about women is that to a much greater extent than men, they can tolerate inconsistencies inside themselves. Women can simultaneously think and feel ideas and emotions that to the mind of a man, they would seem to be mutually exclusive, but in the mind of a woman, they don't even register as an inconsistency. As a man, you can relate to this in small ways, like you probably have days where you love your job and days where you hate your job. That doesn't make you an inconsistent fraud, that just makes you a human capable of complex emotions that change based on evolving circumstances. I'll go even further. There are probably days where you both love and hate your job all in one day. There's just something unique that occurs that brings out the very best and worst in you. Now, that might be a rare experience for you to feel contradictory emotions at the same time, but I'm exploring this idea because I'm trying to get you to empathize with the female mind, to try and understand how they think, because that experience is common for women. To experience contradictory emotions at the same time, that's really, really common. That's how women are wired. It might seem inconsistent to you, like she's lying or something, but that is just her honest feminine experience. That's a truth. She has contradictory emotions and it's fine with her. As a man, registering that kind of contradiction or inconsistency inside yourself would bring about a huge stressful response. I've got to sort this out. There's a piece of code that doesn't add up. Part of my, internal equation doesn't give the correct answer. But women are not like that. Really super logical men are going to have a hugely difficult time relating to this because, the more sort of logical you are, often these guys, they barely experience any emotions, or if they do, they just experience one emotion at a time. I was happy, then I was scared, then I was sad, then I was angry, one after the other. So for you guys like that who are, really logical, you're probably just going to have to take my word on it. But for you other guys in the audience who are maybe a little bit more, emotionally self-aware, you may be a bit more in touch with your feminine side, you might be able to experience a little bit of what I'm talking about here. As you go inside yourself and you deepen your experience of emotions and you expand the size and width of your emotional register, as well as giving you a more intense experience of individual emotions, it broadens your capacity to actually feel simultaneous emotions at the same time. The spiritual teacher Ram Dass used to talk about this. When somebody would ask him, Ram Dass, are you happy? He would say, yes, I'm happy. And then somebody in the next breath could say, Ram Dass, are you sad? And he'd say, yeah, I'm sad. I can't personally verify this, but I have heard that the, Eastern mystic monks who achieve enlightenment, their experience of consciousness is like feeling all emotions, all of them at the same time in perfect balance. But while as a man, you might have to really work, really do a lot of self-exploration in order to be able to broaden your emotional register, women are just born that way. They have that innate capacity because they're women. Even the most feminine, in touch with his emotions man is going to have difficulty competing with the emotional intensity and range of the average woman. Of course, what I'm about to say here is a generalization, but largely this holds true. Men experience this world cognitively and women experience the world emotionally. Can you pause for just a moment and appreciate just how massive that difference is? And all of the implications that stem from that single deviation? Cognitively speaking, a contradiction is a big deal. It means that there's a glitch in the matrix. There's something wrong with the equation that's going to lead to danger. It needs to be rectified immediately. For a woman, it doesn't matter at all because she's not interested in being consistent. What she wants is authenticity. She wants to be honest all the time about what she's experiencing. You as a man might say to your girlfriend, this doesn't make sense. All these thoughts and emotions that you have that contradict each other, you need to work to resolve them. She doesn't care about the contradictions. She can feel happy and sad at the same time about the same thing, and that's absolutely fine. She can think and she can feel all of it. That's well within her capacity. That's her being authentic. And what she has difficulty understanding is why her giving an authentic expression to all that she's experiencing, all the emotions that she's feeling, why that should make her any less trustworthy in your eyes. So the lesson here is, as men, when talking to your girlfriend, you have to relax your standards a little bit. You can't be expecting 100% consistency all the time from the women in your life, because that's not a reasonable yardstick. That is you applying your masculine frame, your masculine value system onto women. This is just another one of those areas where men and women are different. And if we're going to get along with each other, we're going to have successful relationships and understand each other, then we need to take these differences into account. In talking about this, I'm reminded of this scene, this really funny scene in one of the Harry Potter movies where Harry's just kissed this girl, Cho Chang, but while she was kissing him, she was crying. And Ron's confused. He says, surely a bit of snogging would cheer her up. This is the dialogue that comes afterwards. Hermione says, don't you understand how she must be feeling? Well, obviously she's feeling sad about Cedric, therefore confused about liking Harry, and guilty about kissing him. Conflicted because Umbridge is threatening to sack her mother from her job in the ministry, and frightened of failing her hours because she's so busy worrying about everything else. Ron, one person couldn't feel all that, they'd explode. Hermione, just because you've got the emotional range of a teaspoon. It's a funny scene because it showcases exactly what I'm talking about. Women have this capacity to feel a huge number of emotions at the same time, and men have difficulty relating to that experience. So to us, it just seems like a contradiction, but it's often not. You can't judge women by male standards. That's not sensible. It's not reasonable. But there is one area where you do need to be extremely vigilant in looking for contradictions, and that is in a woman's actions, in her behavior. If a woman can feel multiple emotions, or if she can see two sides to an issue, that's fine. That's not really a big deal. Where you do need to get concerned is if you witness a woman performing contradictory actions. If she's constantly saying one thing and doing another, then how can you trust her? If she yells at you on Monday for spending too much money, but on Tuesday she buys herself some expensive, decadent purse, then she's not being a woman, she's being selfish, she's being manipulative, and that's a problem. If she says that she hates some guy at work and yet she's always texting him with really friendly messages and little heart emojis, you got to get concerned about that. Contradictory actions are a genuine concern, but it's difficult because there's no hard and fast rule about this. There's no perfect line in the sand that you can draw. It's a nuanced topic, but I wanted to make a video about this just to warn men against the extremes, because it's possible to be too suspicious and too rigid in your treatment of women, but it's also possible to be, too trusting. You don't want to lose yourself in paranoia and get, overly judgmental when there's actually nothing to be concerned about. She's just being a regular woman. So while I can't give you a definitive guide about exactly when it is an issue and when it's not, I'm hoping that talking about it in this video has helped you appreciate how nuanced and complex this topic can be, and give you a bit more information so that you can apply your own logic, your own intelligence to any situation that arises, and you can try and find that sweet spot right in the middle. Is she genuinely being untrustworthy, or is she just being a woman? It seems like in our culture, it doesn't really matter how toxic a relationship is or what negative things somebody does. The moment that one person commits infidelity, that person is instantly the bad guy. We forget everything that came beforehand. Whereas actually, it's a lot more nuanced than that. And somebody asked me, is it possible to recover from infidelity? What if you've combined your finances, you've got children? Is it always a deal breaker? Really complex topic. I cover every aspect of it in my latest Patreon video. You want to see that video? Just go and sign up. It's just a $5 a month subscription, and you get instant access to a whole bunch of exclusive content. I would love to see you over there.